Ladies and gentlemen, what's going on? And thank you for joining me for another podcast. I'm JBosaCoHR, and today, sitting across from me, I have a friend of mine that I met in Morristown. He was able to identify some sacred geometry on my phone. We just started talking. We realized that we've both been part of ceremonies. You've probably heard them on some of my earlier podcasts, so I want everyone to welcome my buddy Dell. Dell!
Hello, everybody.
How you doing, bud?
I'm doing amazing.
I want to thank you for coming on the show. I know it's not easy to talk about these experiences because, well, quite frankly, to people that aren't oriented to what we do, it sounds crazy.
Of course.
And now that we're going on the record, it sounds even crazier if you listen back to it, and then now you can be interrogated about what you've done in these ceremonies. And the ceremonies that I'm referring to, I've been part of 3 ayahuasca ceremonies. He's been part of his ayahuasca ceremonies, and we're going to figure out what he's done and maybe how many times in your journey, because it's always a journey. I never understood that word until we did this, right? Like, it's about the journey. Like, what did that mean to you? I always felt it was corny.
I did too. At first, it was like the journey of your life. It's the journey to new beginnings. And at first, I'm like, what the hell is
what are you guys talking about?
But then once you really go through the journey, you're like, oh, that's what it means.
You get it. I am no longer concerned with the destination. The present moment is the journey, and
exactly.
I'm much happier now that I'm thinking like that.
Yep.
So let's get into this. You have been drawn. There's always a kind of like a calling when we talk about ayahuasca or these psychoactive substances that are called medicines by ancient cultures.
Yep.
And I like that because right now they seem demonic from our society right now. It's like psychedelics, like, oh my God, drugs, like there's people want to essentially riot. But if you do your research and you go to ancient cultures, it's actually been like a heavy part of our ancient society.
Yeah.
So how were you sort of called or drawn to this whole medicine community?
Sure. So the reason I got drawn to it was I was at a place in my life about a couple years ago in which I felt like I lost everything.
Mm-hmm.
My fiance at that time, we broken up.
Ooh, okay, that's rough.
Yeah, so it was a breakup at that time, and also the fact of switching to a new job. At that time, I was jobless, felt like I was alone. But then also I just felt like there was more to it. I was already questioning things about life.
Like, why is life this bad?
Yeah.
Why is it all happening to me kind of thing, right?
I was questioning that, but then also it was at a point in my life of me to stop blaming other people for everything that was happening in my life and started to point the finger at myself. Like, okay, maybe there's something that I'm doing that's bringing up things like this. And of course, finding out that I create my own reality. So there's stuff that I had to do to track those things, but also there was lessons to be taught. So
that's actually, like, I just want to interrupt you, but I think that's like a really mature realization.
Yeah.
Because I've read somewhere that everything is your fault.
Yeah.
If you accept it in that sense. Like, if you went somewhere and something bad happened, well, it's your fault you were there. Or it's your fault that you associated with someone, or you didn't do your research. And that's a very mature thing to understand, that you do have a lot of control of your own reality around you, and that's what you're probably getting at.
Oh, yeah. Everything's synchronistic.
Yeah.
And that's what they talk about, being present and being in the moment, because if you're in the moment, you can be able to catch the little clues that the universe is throwing out there to you. Sometimes the universe has to do something catastrophic to get your attention, but when you're able to fully pay attention to the universe each moment.
I'm going to bring you back because you're talking about the universe. Now, if we were talking to someone that's not even oriented to what we're talking about. See, I understand what you're saying, the universe, right? Yeah. There's a big thing entailed there, and you can sort of compare it to a god of some sort, but I don't even actually take it in that context. So what is your perspective when you're saying the universe is synchronizing with you?
Sure. So universe, some people may say God, Allah, higher intelligence, the creator of all beings, whatever it means to you. And what I mean with the universe is I know that I'm part of a big symphony, meaning
that's a good word, like a symphony of life.
Yeah, a symphony of life. There's a conductor, of course, the universe, God, and each of us is our own special note, but together we all play a one synchronized melody.
Are you a poet? Or are you trying to be a poet? That's a nice way to put that. And just to give you my realization, one of the words that came to me when people try to explain these experiences, this sense of oneness. They say one, like the number one, like we're all one thing.
Yeah.
And it's very hard to explain to people that haven't had an experience how completely together you can feel with the things and the people around you.
Yeah.
Not only it like your thoughts and your emotions kind of transcend into other people, but even just your appreciation for nature and the things around you. And when I say that sense of oneness, it's almost like your thoughts are yours and theirs at the same time.
It's
and
crazy.
That tree, and it's hard to explain. I know it sounds crazy. We're both like we're going there, but that's one of the realizations. Like when you say the universe, and I felt like this oneness is that you can melt the barriers that are us and realize that there is something massive that we're not experiencing, but we're trying to figure it out.
Of course.
So go ahead. Let's continue on. So you had a traumatic point in your life.
Yeah.
You realize you can control everything.
Yeah.
And then when does this whole calling of medicine, let's say, happen?
Sure. So I started meditating around this time before I even decided to take the medicine for the first time. Started meditating and started talking more to the universe. And I said to the universe, all right, universe, I'm ready to take this to the next level. I realized that this time is for me, and I'm looking to, I guess, evolve myself deeper into consciousness. So throw me a sign. What do I need to do in the next step?
See, you're saying a lot of very mature, enlightened things.
Yeah.
So where did you get this research? Because you're like, I'm in control. Send me a sign. Sync up with me. But when did you get that knowledge, or when was that put in your head that that's the perspective you have of this?
It was just naturally happening. And also during that time for meditation, I was meeting up with a meetup group called Neolith and doing that, like the meditating and hearing about.
What's it called? Needle lift?
Neolith in Montclair.
Oh, okay.
It's pretty cool.
Sounds like it's like uplifting.
It is.
Oh, that's what it is. Okay.
It's very good. They have like shamanic journeys with drums. They have kirtans. So many amazing things there. But from that, and then also just naturally, just before I just asked like, God, show me a sign. But before, when I asked for a sign, I'm not paying attention to the signs. I'm waiting for a sign to come in a way that I wanted to come in. But when I threw it out to the universe, throw me a sign for my next step. What do I need to do next? And was just paying attention, and then boom, here comes the plant medicine.
Boom. Okay, you're saying here comes the plant medicine. What did you like? Did you Google something? Did someone talk to you? Did you hear it in a YouTube video? Was it on a documentary? What was that? You're saying boom, there it is. Like, what is that boom moment?
Here's a funny part, and this all happened like synchronistically. Turn on the television. When I turned it on, there was a documentary on ayahuasca happening.
Oh,
so
do you remember what channel this is?
I don't know. That's off the top of my head.
Pretty risque.
Yeah.
For a network to do that.
No, I think, matter of fact, I was on YouTube. There you go. YouTube on my television.
Related videos.
But it just popped up.
Quote unquote. Okay.
It just popped up out of nowhere. I never searched it whatsoever. And I was like, what is this? I saw it on YouTube. People go through. I was like, okay. All right.
So you were essentially watching a testimonial video, and people, when they go through their experiences, and I'm just doing this for the audience, but it might be scary when you perceive someone going through a journey because they're really acting out some extreme emotions.
Yeah.
And essentially it's part of a purging or a release. And so a lot of people have bottled up emotions, and then some of them have been put away and you never actually engage them. And so if you go online and you look up some ayahuasca testimonials, you might see that. I would say don't be afraid of it, because people after they're done doing that feel amazing.
Oh yeah.
So I'm just trying to keep we're trying to promote sort of people healing, and I don't want to scare anybody. So I wanted to put that in as a side note. So you guys saw some testimonials on YouTube and people doing ayahuasca, and
yep. And the first time I heard of it, I'm like, what is this medicine? What is this called?
What are they doing?
So then I Googled it, of course, saw some stuff on it, what it is, a plant medicine. People use it for healing. People are looking to take it when they're looking to make a shift in their life. And the crazy part was when I threw out the universe, like, all right, I'm ready to make a major shift into my life. So I was like, all right.
Boom, the medicine. Okay, I see your moment.
So I feel like, okay, maybe I think the universe is talking to me, because I looked it up. it said something that I said out loud. But I was like, all right, this is me just wanted to test the theory.
You sure that's not your phone listening to everything you're saying, and then all of a sudden it gives you like a YouTube video?
So I was like, okay, let me test the theory out. Show me if this is what I need to do. Show me a sign. So next you know, looked on Facebook. First thing popped on Facebook, ayahuasca. I was like,
oh, you know, it's really hard to spell.
yeah.
The first time I looked it up, I was listening to, I think it was a Joe Rogan and Graham Hancock podcast.
Yeah.
And Graham Hancock was saying there's this amazing substance from the Amazon, and he has this beautiful accent.
Yeah.
And when he said it, I'm like using I, Y. Like I couldn't figure it out, and until I got an autocomplete from Google. I'm like, thank you. It's AYAH.
Yeah.
And then so you started Googling.
Yeah.
And you started researching. What's the first thing that you found that was like, I need to do this?
The shift part that happened, and from those three things that happened, I was like, okay, maybe the universe is trying to tell me something. So I was like, all right, I'm going to sit on this at first. I didn't really make the step into doing it yet. So, all right, let me see if this is the right thing to do. Turn on Netflix. First thing that came on Netflix, this documentary called The Last Shaman.
Oh.
You saw that before?
I've seen it on my Netflix. I haven't gotten to it yet, but I want to see it.
Oh, my God. So
please tell me
it was
about
beautiful.
Summarize it real quick.
Yeah. So a guy who...
No spoilers, though.
Yeah. So the guy who's dealing with some like heavy depression to the point, like he said, he just didn't know how to feel himself anymore. Heavy medication. He decided to go to Peru to partake in ayahuasca. And it was ayahuasca and some other diet medicines that he did, but transformed his life. That's all I'm going to say. I'm not going to say too much into it.
In a sense, and I'll say in an egotistical sense, you realize like that's something you want.
Yeah.
Like I want to feel like that guy. I want to kind of free myself.
Yeah.
That's what it was for me, because listening to Graham Hancock and the experience that he went through, and he said some crazy stuff, but he was also in like I feel like if you go to the Amazon, you kind of influenced by the jungle itself. You're influenced by the environment.
Yeah.
So he said some stuff, but he couldn't say anything bad about it. Even though it sounded bad, it was amazing for him. And that's when I was like, I've done my research on ancient cultures. You name it. It's kind of silly, but I love ancient aliens because they give you good leads into our ancient culture. And if you take out aliens and you try to be like, were we just humans that were way more advanced and we figured something out? So I've studied ancient cultures, and I realized one of the living rituals still was these ayahuasca ceremonies from the shamans in Peru or the Amazon. And I'm like, oh, this is alive. And I realized it's still alive because the Spaniards that went to go conquer South America, they're like, well, fuck that. We're not going into the Amazon. That's crazy. Those people can keep doing what they're doing. And that's why we still have ayahuasca ceremonies still to this day, which is, I'm like, well, if it's here, I am going. I got to figure out where I'm doing this.
Yeah, man.
And that was, that's how I kind of decided. I'm like, well, this is it. I'm doing it. I'm going to join the ancients. I'm going to kind of keep it alive with whatever they're doing. So I need you to tell me. So you found somewhere to go, and like what was that decision like how did it all line up, like timing, place, like you don't have to tell me where, but just how did that all line up for you?
Once I made the declaration to the universe that I wanted to do.
I love how you say that, like the declaration of the universe. Like
it's like with any,
we're syncing up, damn it.
It's like with anything you want. Once you make the declaration to it and you believe that's going to happen and just let it go, it happens so fast. So once I made that declaration, like, all right, this is what I need to do. This is what I want to do. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to leave it up to you to figure it out for me.
Yeah, it sounds like how I convinced myself. Like, I'm going to do this. I want to do this. I know this is good. Like, I feel like I had the same bullet points you did.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
That's why we're talking right now.
Yeah.
But once I made the declarations, things just happened synchronistically. Found a native church that popped up, came in contact with them, and was able to have my first experience. And it all just happened pretty quick.
That's how it was for me. Like it was within a couple months, and then you start researching, and there's a dieta. You want to prepare, you know, and it's like, well, I'm right at that time. I'm gonna prepare. I'm going. And it's one of those decisions that you've made so profoundly quick, and you were so sure of. Right? Like I feel like it was the same thing, and you did it. So explain what's going through your head that day. You wake up that morning, and you're like, well, this might change me for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
Well,
Well,
explain that.
sure.
Let's go into that.
So after getting over the first jitters of like, okay, I'm going into a space with people that I haven't really met yet, like had a conversation with them, like too much of conversation.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, oh my God, like the program in mind is telling you like, what if this is not safe? What if this? What if this happened? What if this happened? What if that happens? But once I was able to get over that, I just felt like I got a feeling that something major is about to happen to me. So the weekend was two ceremonies. The first one,
Oh, you're brave.
yeah.
I just did one. I'm like, oh, I want to see how I feel after this.
Oh man, the first one was pretty interesting. When I first took the medicine, I was like, okay, what's gonna happen now? What's gonna happen for me? So I closed my eyes, and when I closed my eyes, I started seeing vines that's coming up.
Oh,
But the vines started coming up to me, and I said, all right, I think this is just visions with my eyes closed. It's not real. So I opened my eyes up. When I opened my eyes, the vines were still coming at me with my eyes open. So I was like, holy shit.
it's so different. I cannot find like there are consistencies, but there's
Yeah.
consistencies in inconsistencies.
Yeah.
And that's for me. It was like a rush of sacred geometry. Like I went right through this kaleidoscope of all this sacred geometry, which made complete sense.
Wow.
And then I'm on the other end of it, and it's like space. Just hello, anybody here? But that's cool. So it's almost like you had like it's a the inconsistency is we both went through something different, but
Yeah.
it was an enveloping feeling.
Yeah.
Like something came over you, right?
Yeah.
So keep going.
And I felt it. So the vine started coming up to me. At first, I was scared, but then once I felt the vine touched me and my hands and started going into me. And then once it started going into me, that's when I started feeling the warm energy going through my arms, going through my whole body, which is of course the medicine working through you. And from there, started studying the sacred geometry, of course.
Mm-hmm.
And from the sacred geometry, what happened from there was the breakthrough, this breaking in with the medicine. I met my spirit guides, but the crazy thing that happened.
You're going like wham bam. Let's slow this down a little
Okay.
bit, right? So you saw the sacred geometry as well.
Yeah.
We both did that. And for those of you that don't know what sacred geometry is, go ahead and just Google image search it. The concept is this sacred geometry, the mathematical way this stuff is set up, is essentially the building blocks of the universe. You can find it all throughout nature. You can find it in galaxies. You can find it in solar systems. Like the mathematical formula. It's an intertwining of the Fibonacci sequence and the golden ratio. And just go ahead and do your own research. I'm just putting a subnote in there. So if we keep saying it, that's what we're referring to. So
Yeah.
so you saw all the sacred geometry. Continue on, sir.
Okay. And then from the sacred geometry, that's when a breakthrough happened. Meaning from there was able to like just step into an astral realm type of space.
It's inconsistencies, but with consistency.
Yeah.
I went into like space. It was just like mute. Just
Yeah.
okay, I'm here somewhere.
So in the astral realm, I was able to just see different beings. I met one of my spirit guides for the very first time there. Met a spirit animal. Met my fiance, of course, in the astral realm, which is pretty cool. We weren't even like in conversation with each other.
Was she in the ceremony?
No,
Oh
we
wow.
weren't even in conversation at that time.
So from what from what I remember, there's like a you know when they say it's someone's essence.
Yeah.
Essentially, when you look at someone that's alive and animated, and then you see let's say someone passes away, you still see their body,
Yeah.
but it's not them, right? So you get like a feeling of how that person is, like their emotional connection, their personality, and so that's how you recognize your fiance, right?
Yep.
Okay, so yeah, I get it. It's nice to talk to someone that's been there. I've been talking. No offense to you, Mike, but now that I got someone that actually has been through this, it's nice to kind of bounce this back and forth. Like yes, yes, yes.
Yeah.
Continue on, sir.
And another cool thing that happened the first night was when I opened my eyes, the other people that were in the space going through their own experiences, for some reason I was able to see their experiences. Like a DVD screen popped up on the top of their head, and I was actually to see their visions, what there was happening. and like of course some people was going through some deep stuff, and I wanted to like help them, but my spirit guide told me you can't do anything. This is their own
May
experience.
I ask? Okay, so
Sure.
I've explained in my testimonials that the communication is not verbal.
Yeah.
You essentially just experience it as a like a memory that you've already had,
Yeah.
or like a reality. Like
Uh
you've,
huh.
it's an experience that you already had, and that's the communication. Like
Yeah.
I don't have to explain this to you if I could just put the thought in your head.
Yeah.
So that's the communication that he's talking about. I love spirit animals. So can you elaborate? Just let me know what it was. Is that too personal? I
No,
mean,
no, no,
okay.
no. I had a couple spirit animals.
Oh,
I had a wolf and also had a bear, had a snake.
you had this whole array
Yeah.
of animals. So I feel like they symbolically mean different things. Like they're trying to tell you. Each one has a particular message they want you to focus on.
Yeah.
So what's this one telling you about the people in the room? You're saying you could see their visions, and the spirit animal said, "Whoa, back up! We got something for
Oh
you."
no. That was my spirit guide who told me that.
Oh, the spirit guide.
The
Oh,
spirit guide told me focus on your
I
experience.
understand that.
Yeah,
Okay.
he had a nice black hood on, but he told me like, no, you can't go into their experiences. They gotta go through theirs. You gotta go through yours. But for the first night, it was just so blissful. And for some people, was telling me like you're not able to like control like what happens in your experience. For some reason, like the message was working through me. It was allowing me to like if I had a question about something, I was going to this. If I had a question about that, I was able to go to this. I was going to my childhood. I was able to connect with my son in the astral realm to like see what he was thinking and feeling, and I was healing some past wounds that I had with like past relationships. It was like real deep.
See, you're saying this, and you're like hitting bullet points, right? And let's unpack that experience a little bit.
Sure.
When you're saying you're going through a past experience, well, first of all, the astral realm. We'll comment on that. So my experience with the astral realm is there's no distance, well, there's time because we still experience time on a linear thing, but there's no distance. There's only like a feeling that you can get to or a memory that you can experience. So if you could think like, yes, it's kind of like space where there's no boundaries, but you can go right to exactly what you're thinking or what you want to experience.
Yeah.
And I also feel that the notion of surrender is massive because the faster you uh the faster you accept that this is crazy. Like, okay, whoa, what is going on here? But you just give it up and say, I'm with it, right? Then it's almost like you can control it. You just
Yeah.
decided to be part of it instead of, whoa, this is crazy. I'm gonna like hang outside. So I see what you're saying. Like there's definitely surrender, and I know I've heard the same thing. Like when my first experience was amazing. I loved it. It was beautiful. I got taught a whole bunch of things, and that's just because I was so ready to accept it. Like I wasn't, I was a little timid, but I was just ready to accept it. That's why I was there. So it sounds like you also got to kind of handle the wheel, you know?
Yeah. I was in that same space as ready for like this the next step, but also like I wasn't trying to force anything. It's like, all right, I'm just surrendering and I'm accepting whatever's for me, and also just accepting whatever messages that I get from my experience.
So let's unpack. You said you were talking about a past experience that you had some negative energy with.
Yeah.
Unpack that. So you experienced something. Can you recall that experience?
Sure. It was dealing with a past relationship with my.
You don't have to be personal. I
Oh,
just want you to unpack it. But yes, however much you want to share.
sure. So I was dealing with some healing some wounds with my son's mother.
Hmm.
We had we parted ways in a pretty like bad way,
Yeah.
which happens to a lot of relationships. And just be able to like forgive for what happened in that experience, but then also having I got into a space of gratitude of this understanding. Well, it's helped me. I realized that I would say like this year more was coming to a space of realizing of her and I, we had a soul contract, and what our soul contract was to come together was to bring this beautiful life into the world, which is my son.
Your son.
And just having a gratitude and love for that, and also in the space now of understanding and having more compassion of understanding for some people act based upon the level of understanding and consciousness that they're at, and it's okay for that. I can't have things happen the way that I want to happen,
Yeah.
and for me to like fully accept it and forgive, it was like a lot of energy just got taken off of me.
And I want to comment again. There's something I've said, and I've said it on my other podcasts too. Hashtag take your lesson, right?
Yeah.
You didn't know what was going on in your life at that point.
Oh yeah.
You learned what love is. You learned how close love can get you. You learned how to be a father. You learned how to raise a child, and you also learned how to deal with how love breaks down.
Oh yeah.
So, I mean, there is something bad there, but there's so much to gain.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I'm like, man, if you're confronted with something bad, like take your lesson. There's something there, and make yourself better with it. Right? You're smiling like that.
Yeah.
It kind of makes sense.
At first, cause I'm like, why do I have to keep seeing her all this time? And because like from past relationship, like where usually happens, you break up, you're able to just go your separate ways, and like you be able to like handle your stuff and move on.
Oh, there's a child here.
Yeah, there's a child here, so I had to keep on seeing her, keep on having this animosity, and it just kept growing and growing. But like I just realized that it's so much harder to be angry than it is to like just go.
It's not worth it.
It's not.
Like, it's not worth it to be angry. Like, why are you harboring negative energy?
I heard the perfect quote from one of my favorite rappers, Joe Budden.
Go for it.
And it's about resentment. But he said resentment is like pissing on yourself. Nobody else feels it but you. That's deep.
Yeah. Yeah. I won't think about that again like the same way. Dude, but it sounds like you took your lesson. You now have a child. You've learned a lot. You have a fiance now. So this whole experience is taking you to a point, and it sounds like you're grateful for where you are right now.
Oh yeah, like even like the stuff with my fiance at that time because we broke up and that thing, it was needed. Like when you understand from I guess like ego scope view of things, you have to go your separate ways because that's the time for you. You need to do some inner work for yourself. And I came to the point of after doing that first or the weekend with the medicine, I came to the point like, you know what? I accept like if we come back together, if we don't come back together, everything's okay because I'm enough and I'm focused on myself. But then of course we did come back together once I like fully let it go. And also during the experience, the medicine told me like, you guys are gonna get back together, but you guys got to go through your own experience right now, the healing. So that way you guys can come back at a higher level of consciousness to help transform the world.
Ooh, man, you go real fast sometimes too. Like, all right, we gotta bring you back and unpack some of that stuff you said there.
Yeah.
So, oh man, you just said a lot. I'm trying to backtrack here. So you're saying you went your separate ways, and you both have to heal, which kind of reminds me of what we were saying about the journey earlier. Like you have to realize we experience time in a linear fashion. That's part of the journey. Over time, you're going to learn things. Mm-hmm. So there's an integration period. There's always an integration when you partake in a healing ceremony. So I want you to talk about just a little bit about that journey and integrating afterwards, because it sounded like it's something very profound that you took with you. And tell me how that syncs up after, because I know you can mention the synchronicities show up a lot.
Yeah.
So after that ceremony, what did you start seeing and syncing up with?
So I forgot to talk about the second experience.
Oh, well, let's keep going. I mean, it's almost all the same thing now.
So the second one, I realized what I experienced for the very first time was called ego spiritual death.
That's a beautiful thing, depending on who you are.
Yeah.
So let's unpack that ego death. Now that sounds scary. I know that sounds scary because let me preface what you're going to talk about on ego death, because for a lot of people that don't understand what we're talking about, this ego death is almost an overwhelming sense of pride. You are who you are. You have a first name. You have a last name. You have an image. You have a personality. And there's a boundary between us. I cannot be you and you cannot be me. Right now, that's impossible. But when you have this ego death, you realize everything that you thought you were almost doesn't matter. I don't want to say like it does matter. But go ahead, explain your ego death scenario.
So of course, I was sitting in the ceremony, and the facilitator was talking a nice little talk about life and evolution and metamorphosis and transformation. I was hearing it, and then next thing you know, everything just went black. Yeah. So I was like, what is going on? Like, what's happening? And then next thing you know, everything got silent. and then when people started talking again, it's like the ceremony was completely over. And this is when I just came back. But here's a kicker: I came back. I didn't know who I was. I didn't know where I was.
Oh,
I didn't know what was happening for people. I don't even know how I got here. People were saying my name. I was like, who? Who is that? Who? But with my mind being completely blank like that, all I saw was just everybody, like lovely beings, just connected to everybody at that moment. I never felt that before, in which I'm connected to everyone. I usually just feel like I'm just connected to myself, and it is what it is.
yeah. I mean, like, your ego is your shell. Essentially, like, we have skin that holes in all our body parts. The ego part of your personality is what keeps you, your personality, and your perspective of your life, you.
Yeah,
And so, what you're saying is, like, when that ego death goes away, now you're with everyone else, and it's, again, it's really hard to explain. You'll understand if you've been through an experience, but what you can experience as other people is almost like a beautiful thing. Like, you're not worried about yourself
yeah,
anymore. It's very humbling, right?
yeah. I would call it like just being naked.
Just see, I've always been very humble. I don't I don't need to feed my ego. Let's say I don't need to be the best at anything.
Yeah,
I don't need to proclaim how good I am at something. I honestly want to see people happy around me. So I've never experienced an ego death, but I've already come to terms with 50% should be your ego, because that's why we're here and we
yeah,
have shells, and 50% of your life should be being part of other people, making them happy, essentially sharing good vibes.
yeah.
Do you feel like that after doing this?
Oh yeah,
Is that okay? I can say like the 50-50?
yeah. Because the ego does play its part in certain parts of your life, but it's like you can't let the ego play too much part in your life, type of thing.
Yeah.
There's all, of course, there's certain moments where you need to be selfish. For example, somebody stepping over your boundaries, or you gotta protect your energy,
Yeah.
and things like that. Then, of course, the ego's like I call it like, I call it my friend, but it's like my alert to let me know, like, okay, something is happening right now. Because my ego, I did call it my program mind. My ego starts like letting me know, like, okay, there's something going on. But then I check the surroundings and I check myself to see, like, okay, am I really in immediate danger or something like that? Do I really need to protect my energy, or is this some like past trauma that's coming up again? That's a trigger based upon this experience. Is this the same experience, or is a brand new experience? Is a new lesson for the universe trying to teach me to like work through
There
this?
it is. Take a lesson again.
Yeah,
I want you to comment on a sense of pride, because after this, I mean, I think pride is what keeps people distant, especially when you've felt like you've been wronged and you've been in a situation
oh
where
yeah,
you've been wronged and there's been animosity you mentioned earlier.
yeah.
And I think this is a good relatable way, but how does your sense of pride feel? It's almost like you can, I feel like, whatever, I can give it up.
Yeah.
Fuck it, you were right. I don't care. But did you feel like that as well?
Oh yeah, I was definitely prideful as hell. And there's moments now I can admit that sometimes I am prideful
Mm-hmm.
too, but now I'm catching myself quicker than like before. I'll be prideful and realize, okay, maybe I'm being an asshole right now or something.
Yeah, it's made me feel like I can say I'm sorry. I can apologize
Yeah,
real fast. Like, oh, yep, I was wrong. I'm
yeah,
sorry. And saying people they were right.
yeah,
Like, oh, fuck it, they were right. I'm just like, you're right.
yeah,
All right, I'm wrong. You're right. Like, I feel like that's way easier. I'm like way more humble. It doesn't matter.
yeah.
It's just me. Like, fuck it. I can give it up.
It's vice versa too. Like, because like for me, especially now, my throat chakra is a lot clearer.
Oh, now we're
So
jumping into chakras. We got a lot of research to do for this
okay,
podcast,
okay,
but okay,
yeah.
gotta talk about your throat chakra.
But pretty much meaning like speaking my truth. So
Mm-hmm.
there's a boundary between being like prideful, and sometimes I just call people out on their shit when they need to be
Yeah.
called out on it. And I'm learning more how to keep that balance of doing that. Of course, like for me too, like I love to be called out on my shit too. If I'm doing
Yeah.
something, I may get triggered at first, but I'm able. Oh, wait a minute, I'm feeling like upset about this, but let me hear this person out, see where they're coming from.
Please, may I have some critical feedback, sir.
Yeah. But I had to get that a lot in my career in sales, like get critical feedback and things like that. But like to understand that and hold space, but then also come to a level of compassion to hear this person out. But if the person's wrong, I'm going to let them know, like, okay, this is from your level of perception of who
Mm-hmm.
I am, and this is not who I am. So before I would be like less prideful, like accept everything that was getting thrown at me, and pretty much what was happening was people was dumping a lot of their energy onto me, projecting, and I was taking it, accepting like, oh, maybe I am not that good, maybe I'm this, maybe I am that, or maybe I am that, and now I'm at a point of my life that I understand where people come from, and when projections potentially can happen, I'm at a level now. I'm not gonna call them out on their shit. Matter of fact, yeah, I call them out on their shit, but it's in a more like beautiful way.
You're giving them
Sure.
a lesson. Like sometimes you are the lesson.
Yeah,
Like sometimes you, like, obviously you've learned things from past bosses,
yeah.
people that you thought you were in love with. Like you always learn. So the lesson comes from someone else.
Oh
So
yeah,
when they step over a boundary or someone needs to be put in check,
yeah,
okay, you're the teacher now, and I don't even consider it like a negative thing anymore because I'm like, okay, this person needs to be set straight. They should be grateful for me if like you're realigning them,
yeah,
like like you need to relax and okay, understand it this way
yeah,
because what you're thinking is not correct.
yeah. I say it in a way, especially because I connect to the person. I can understand what level they're at. I'll plant a little seed for them if they need it. Before I was just hitting truth bombs at the truth bombs at the truth
And
bombs,
nobody wants to hear that
causing
when you go too fast.
devastations and triggers everywhere. Now I'll just like I'll throw like a little hint to like guide them the right way, and just realize like I'm just holding space for this person to they're speaking where they feel at is their truth and their perception of things. But I'm at a point now I can like hold the space, but I'm transmuting the energy. I'm not allowing the energy to get dumped on me. The person may feel like I'm this and this and this. Of course, if there's like or what's the word? If there's evidence, like they have like documented facts, like okay, this is why I think you're this. Or, okay, maybe you're right. Maybe there's something I'm not seeing about it. I am humble enough to accept where I may not see something about myself,
Yeah,
but
like
then also if somebody's saying something I know is not true, I'm able to like fully speak my truth back.
like you can admit you're wrong.
Yeah,
It's easier to admit you're wrong after being part of one of these ceremonies. And then also when you're right, it's easier to project but not using your ego. You're
yeah,
like, "Hey, I'm trying to help you out." It's not
right,
like I'm right, you're wrong. It's like, "Listen, I'm trying to help you.
yeah,
Look at it this way." I feel like that going through life like that is way more natural and way more agreeable with other
yeah.
people.
And sometimes all you gotta do, like if you hear the person like they saying something that's not true or something, I give them a hug or something. Like
Like you poor fool, man. like I don't get mad at people anymore. I feel sorry for them essentially.
I think the worst thing that triggers people even more is like when they're like doing they're going through their trigger points of trying to project stuff. You just sit there and smile.
Like I'm just gonna hear you out, man. When you're ready, I'll tell you.
Yeah,
Hopefully it makes sense.
yeah.
So let's go back to some ceremonies and some experiences. Go. A lot of people when they talk to me, they're fascinated with what did you see? You're way beyond that. You're very experienced. You're already like lesson after lesson after lesson. Like you're just trying to learn, and I
Yeah.
get that. But we got to bring it back, and if you can explain the experience, because you said you saw this, they taught you this, but you're going over that real quick. You've already integrated. So can you bring it back to something very profound that like this is what you experienced and that's why it changed you. So yeah, bring it back because you're so infatuated with the lesson, and I get it. But what was that experience that made you learn something? Like, how did you experience it? Because I always tell people I experience it like a memory that I didn't have, which I mentioned earlier. What was yours like?
Hmm.
Because I've definitely got on record saying what mine like in a couple previous podcasts. But can you recall it, or you just completely integrated that it's gone?
It's been a long integration for me. I've
Oh,
been
okay.
integrating for like years, and like just now, I would say like I keep thinking like 2018, but around last year is when I was able to like really start integrating even more. And but integration is all the time too. I'm always learning, always like experiencing new things. But the profound moment for me when I realized like okay, got to shift even more. At first, like when I had my first experience with the medicine, I
Mm-hmm.
came out feeling like Neo from the Matrix,
Yeah.
like I am the one. So I was walking around like sort of proudly, I am the one, I am the one, I am the one, I am the one. I'm so powerful type of thing. And I realized that it was still an ego thing that was going on during that. It was, and what happened to me was a couple more experiences of other medicines. I was able to finally come to the point of realizing I'm not the one.
Uh,
We are all
I
one.
want to know what the experiences were like. You're saying it was just an experience. There's a
Yeah.
box here, take it. But like, what made you realize that you're not the one? Like, what did you experience saying, this ego thing's
Oh,
not my thing?
when in the ceremony with my empath side
There we go. Let's hear
opening up
this.
my empath, and then also my heart opened up even more. Like I felt a little bit from the heart when I first had my first experience. Was it was more of like this feeling energy and things like that for the first time. And it's like, oh, I can move mountains type of things. But then when I was able to like get into this ceremony when my heart opened up, like my heart chakra like really opened up, and I was hearing somebody like crying hysterically in the ceremony, and then I turned around and like immediately was feeling her pain and feeling her emotions. I was like, oh my god.
See, when you mention energy, and I'm always trying to familiarize people that don't know what we went through.
Yeah,
The best way I can describe it is ambition. Like there's hurtful ambitions, there's you want to do well, you want to make someone happy
yeah,
ambitions, and you start feeling that from other people. Like that's what I think is the energy. Like you can feel when someone wants to love. You can
yeah,
feel when someone's got a problem with you.
yeah,
You could feel that, or they got a problem with someone else.
yeah,
And so that's what you do. Like you're opening up. Like you can almost feel that you're receiving more now, and the woman next to you is having a problem. So
yeah,
you can feel that ambition. That not. It's like ambition, intention. There's another way to put it, but you know what she's going through because
yeah.
that's the energetic feeling. Like that's that wavelength that it travels on. So explain that.
I was feeling her energy of the sadness that she was going through. So then I started feeling sad, and I was like, wait a minute, why am I?
Yeah, you're like,
Why am I
it's
feeling
not
this?
me.
This is not me. Why am I feeling sad all of a sudden? But then I walked to another room, and then this person was like laughing hysterically, and then I started feeling laughter. And then next, I went to another room. Somebody was like angry. I started feeling a little bit angry. Went to another one. People were calm. I started feeling calm. And then when I was able to like get to a space by myself, I said, "Wait a minute. Why am I feeling all this energy?" And then I said, "Oh, wait a minute. I think we're all are one. We're all connected." And this is and then that's when I came to the point, oh wait, we all are one. And then synchronistically somebody just started yelling, "We all are one. We
Yeah,
all are one."
it's incredible. Like that's one of those things it, that it's a moment in a ceremony that you're like, wait, this is way beyond us
Yeah,
sitting right here in the ceremony.
I know.
Like something manifested on the other side of the circle, or the experience that you're having. Uh, like for me, I remember this was profound. I said it earlier. I'm just telling you,
Yeah.
but there was a woman going through so much pain on the other side of the circle. I never met her. I didn't know what she looked like. I didn't know who it was. But I remember kind of getting into her wavelength, her energy, and it was like it was a dark room. And there was a little girl covering her head with her hair and like in a nightgown, and it was in a bedroom. And then I remember the only light was coming from the door of her bedroom. Like I'm going through this experience, right? So I wanted to see who it was, and I'm just trying to like uncover the hair, and I couldn't get close. Like it's like I'm nope, this is my distance, and what I felt was like she was just worth nothing. She's like in that little bedroom. There's nothing for her. Nobody outside cares that she's crying in this bedroom, and this woman was struggling with should she exist or not.
Wow.
Yeah. The next morning. Oh wait, before I get to the next morning, I thought that was it. Like okay, I found this person, and I can't help. Like I can't touch her. I can't change this experience at all. So I'm like, well, I'm gonna give up, right? So I remember thinking I'm going to give up, and I went to go lie back down because I'm exhausted. You're exhausted during these ceremonies.
Yeah.
So I went to go lie back down, and all of a sudden I hear, "Don't go!" And I'm like, wait, did I imagine that, or did that physically happen? And then with the best I could, it was so dark, but I could see someone's hand on the other side of the circle, like going like this in my direction. I'm like, okay, I'm here. So what else we got? And I sat up, and I finished going through this experience of like she was just thinking about suicide. And
Wow.
now that was the realization. And then again, I open my eyes, I come to a little bit, and I see the shaman is on her, the assistant shaman, they're all trying. And I'm like, oh, this poor girl thought suicide might have been a good idea. And it was over. And all of a sudden, as soon as I came to that realization that it wasn't a good idea, her body just flopped. She just flopped over.
Wow.
Now, I didn't see who it was. I just saw her body flop over. In the morning, when we were all sitting in a circle and integrating, I'm like, that was you. And she's like, what? But it's what I'm trying to say is I think the way the energy gets shared, it's an experience that it's not worldly. It is definitely not something like we are physical three-dimensional beings, and this is something that transcends that. And you felt it. I've definitely felt it. Still hard to explain, still hard to believe, but there's definitely this incredible transfer of energy that
Oh
people
yeah.
have, and even with animals too.
Mhm.
Dogs, I love dogs.
I love cats.
I'll keep the dogs.
Yeah, but like even now, like in the physical reality, like for me, like stepping into places, I felt people emotions, energy,
Welcome
and
to the life of an empath, man.
yeah,
I have
man.
problems too.
It comes to some points like, all right, I gotta go home. I gotta be with myself a little bit. I gotta like recharge and things like that. But like, if you don't know how to set like the proper like shields and boundaries for yourself, especially going somewhere public, oh my god.
I used to work in New York City. Some days it would be awful. Look at you're opening your eyes. Like I would get off a subway, and you know how many people are miserable on a subway?
Oh yeah,
They're just miserable. They're going to be slaves at some job, and
yeah,
then they're not happy. They're walking, especially if the weather's bad. Man,
oh
oh,
yeah,
forget it. Like it's to feel all of that is terrible, and I don't want to scare anybody away from doing this, but you'll just realize that stuff like this exists.
oh yeah.
Dude, can you tell me a little bit about anything more profound in your experiences? Because you're like an awesome dude now. No, you're not like an awesome dude. You are an awesome dude. So, any other part of these experiences contributing to that? You think?
Yeah.
You said ego death,
Ego
and
death,
what other kind of lesson did you get?
connections to higher beings.
Ooh, that is a fun one. Let's explain that one, right?
Yeah.
So go ahead. Let's get all into crazy talk. And what kind of higher being did you experience? Because it's always an experience. You don't see it. You just experience it.
Yeah. Well, one time I seen it too.
Oh, okay.
So, and I work with him now. I started getting even as a kid, I had a strong connection to Archangel Raphael.
Mm-hmm.
And as a kid, I didn't even know, but like it was signs of Archangel Raphael was always near me as a kid. Like my favorite Ninja Turtle was
I
Raphael.
wish I was more familiar with. Can you explain Archangel Raphael? Because I'm not good
Okay,
on lore. Yeah.
okay. So Archangel Raphael is an angel of healing.
Okay.
So pretty much he's like the top chain of any healing energy that gets sent out.
And this is a Christian thing.
No, it's
What?
well he is in the Christian Bible, but overall like all the like a lot of religions they have Archangel Raphael.
Okay. Yeah. It's one of
Like, they
those
pray
like
for-
reoccurring.
Yeah, they pray for him for healing. Like people looking for healing. Of course, there's Archangel Michael for protection. But my deep connection with Archangel Raphael is like for me. Like I think I mentioned to you earlier. This for me, even as a kid, I was like just a natural healer. Like I could put my hands on somebody and for some reason might help them to heal from a potential like sickness they may have, and they may be feeling upset. I'll lay my hand on them, and then they should start feeling better. My son does that now, which is kind of cool.
You think that's part of the ambition, like, because you feel bad for that person and you want them to feel better? By just making that, like, slight physical connection, you've totally aligned yourself to, like, hey, I want you to feel better. And they start feeling better.
Yeah,
It's like that kind of thing, right?
attention and where you put your attention and attention.
Yeah. Attention and intention. Cool.
Yeah,
That's a good way to put it.
and then energy flows too, because like you're focused on, of course, making this person feel better and helping them to heal. And like for me, like it was just a natural thing. I'll just touch somebody, like they just feel some energy. But more recently now, it's been working more with Archangel Raphael for like this healing for myself, but also like he talks to me, he shows me signs and all this stuff. It's all about when you pay attention to the universe, you start getting signs, like paying attention more in the moment. But anybody can connect to Archangel Raphael as well. Just ask for them. Ask them to show you a sign, and just pay attention to what you see.
So kind of surrender the moment that you might sound crazy and just go for it. Like, hey, could use some healing,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
And it's things start happening. Like I know what you're saying because that intention, like things start showing up, and these synchronicities they start as coincidences, right? Like
yeah,
you were saying, that you like the Ninja Turtle Raphael, and that's something relatable to you.
yeah.
And so everybody's, from what I understand, is everybody's journey is different. You know, we will experience things like we pay attention to different things. Some people are great at art and they will pay attention to art more and they'll get synchronicities from art. Some people pay attention to music, and in music you'll start
Oh yeah,
getting little messages from music like,
it's
I should pay
crazy.
attention to this, right?
It's the craziest thing. I remember when I was talking. I was in a moment. It was like last week. I was in a moment of feeling a little high tense, type of energy, a little bit
Mm.
of stress, and I turned the radio on, and the radio started playing the song. I never heard it before, but the person was singing like "Relax, relax, and be calm," like that thing. And I was like, "Okay, all right, universe, I hear you." So then I went to a store and went into 7-Eleven real quick. And then when I came out from 7-Eleven, there was a truck behind me, big sign, turn around, relax.
You know, well, it's funny because when you accept it, like, all right, okay, I get it, right? It's almost like it'll confirm it one more time,
Yeah,
and then you're on to your next thing. Like you're taking your message and then just integrate it, and then you'll be on to something else
yeah,
soon. But it is interesting. 'Cause
it
I
is.
can't recall anything like that, but I felt it. I've totally felt how you felt.
It's funny. You play a game too, and the universe, because the universe likes it when you like have fun and start playing.
Mm-hmm.
But you can ask for a sign for whatever it is. Let's say you want like the universe to show you like yellow ducks or something like that, and watch what happens in that day. It's like the craziest stuff that happens.
My favorite is to play related videos roulette on YouTube, and you start putting this together. I'm like, all right, I see what you're saying. Like, dude, it's been so overwhelming that when I pay attention to it, that I can't even recall right now because I'm just so in sync. I just go with it, and it's kind of awesome.
Yeah.
So let's talk about integrations now.
Okay.
And we always talk, well, not we, but there is always talk about after you're done with the ceremony, after you're done healing and
Mhm.
purging and all this negative energy is gone, there's the integration period. Now, this integration period doesn't have a time limit.
Yeah.
It could be learning a quick lesson, and it could just be something you live with constantly.
Yeah.
So, do you have any kind of integrations that you'd like to share?
Yeah. Well, integration, like I was saying before, it happens all the time. Integrating new things, new lessons, new
Mm-hmm.
insight about things, and it's all comes back to the core thing is being present to the moment, but then also being aware of what's going on in your reality too. Because of course you can ask for something for the universe, and the universe always wants to give you what you
Yeah.
desire. But before you get what you desire, you have to go through your lessons
It's
to make sure
the hardest part.
it is. It's like a test. Like, okay, let's make sure. Do you really want this? I'm gonna throw this your way to see if you really want it. So, for me, my most profound integration was just having a more level of compassion and understanding of people, based upon like I was saying before, their level of what journey they're on, and understanding that because like I see people in a space that I was at before and what space where I'm at now. Before I used to feel like oh my look at this person, this person's still asleep. But now it's having like having more compassion for people, understanding like oh my god, like these people are going through their own journeys right now, but there's always a reason why they're seeing me and why we're coming across each other. So if it's like me just giving them a smile or just saying hello to them, that could like change their day. So that was my most profound integration is having this more compassion for people. They call it the Christ consciousness. But
Whoa! Another dude. All right, we're gonna just have to tell people to look that one up. But I want you to continue with what you're
yeah,
saying. But
yeah.
go ahead.
So they call that the Christ consciousness, and of course, like Christianity, people understand like the teachings of the Bible. It tells you how to be more like Christ-like, and that's love and acceptance for each person, unconditional love, understanding them where they're at, but then also to be able to serve people.
You know what? I'm gonna go ahead and second this because one of my integrations, and it was one of the first times it was the first time that I purged in my first ceremony. I started experiencing all these memes that I was liking at the time, and you're gonna remember them, and then you're also gonna not remember them, right? So at the time, there was all these memes on the internet about not catching feelings. Okay, there was like a boxer punching and the guy was dodging and he's like, ain't catching those feelings, right? Like the arm had feelings on it. There was a ton of don't catch feelings memes. There was things going on. People were saying it, hashtags, whatever the case may be. I realized like I was getting every meme flashed into my head that I integrated with. Like I was like, yeah, I like that one. I like that one on Facebook, and it was like a campaign so people wouldn't catch feelings. It was almost like it was deliberate, like some sort of demonic consciousness was making sure people didn't catch feelings. And once I understood that, I just went for my bucket and was like, right? I got rid of this whole thing of dodging feelings. And I realized that we're in a society where it's not cool to love people.
Mm-hmm.
You're only allowed to love like your parents, your family, your significant other, your children.
Mm-hmm.
If beyond that, like your friends, like really, like it's almost like, oh, I love you, bro, but you say I love you, bro, but you're not trying to really mean it.
Yeah.
And recently, my friend Chris, who was on the podcast, he attempted suicide, but he came out of it so just ready for life. And it's the first time I've heard it from a friend in a long time. But I was hanging up with him. He was happy that I helped him and all that stuff. And he's like, hey, man, I love you. I'll talk to you soon. And I just kind of got thrown back. And it was like a reintegration because I'm like, fuck it. I learned this a couple of years ago. Why was I thrown back? That he genuinely wanted to say that he loved me for helping him out. I was able to say it back and it hung up. And I'm like, man, that came back hard,
Yeah.
But the thing is, once I realized that integration, you don't see those memes anymore, right? They're gone.
That's crazy.
Right?
That's so
Like
true.
those memes are gone. Like
Yeah.
the whole catch feelings things it's over.
Yeah.
And I'm still grateful for that integration. Like I'm not afraid to express that. Well, I mean, I won't say it, but I do know I love my friends, and I'll get gifts or help them out or whatever the case may be, so I can still show my love. And not that it has to be cool, but I do it. I don't feel like I'm crossing any boundaries.
Yeah.
And that was my integration, and I still go with it.
Yeah. That's amazing.
But I think it's crazy that the memes disappeared after that. I'm like,
That's
I had that experience, and the memes are gone.
that's synchronistic. So
Yeah.
You see how the universe throws stuff at you. They're like, here's your next lesson.
Yeah.
You ready?
Well, I wasn't ready, man. And those are the things that you just have to look out for. If a lot of people want to dismiss events in their life like it's a coincidence or you just went over something or something as simple as being late for work, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're going to learn not to be late for work somehow, or you might see something on the way. If you're enlightened from the experience, it was meant to be.
Yeah.
Take it.
They had a funny meme about that too, since you're talking about memes.
Yeah.
So
Go for it.
the person came in late for work, and the boss said to the person, like, you're late. And then the person responded, time's only a concept.
I'm on time, all right? You might think I'm late. I'm on time. So, well, that's actually a great transition because I want to try to keep this to an hour so people can consume this, and we're already on like 58 minutes. So
Okay.
I want you to say something profound to exit this podcast. Anybody listening, whether it's about you, something that you're doing, something you want to just tell the universe back.
Yeah.
I'm going to give you the floor, and like, what didn't I ask you that you would like to talk about?
Sure. Well, first off, I just want to express my deepest gratitude to be a part of this.
Hey, you're very welcome,
Thank you.
sir.
It's great to be a part of something that's magically growing.
Oh, you think so?
Something amazing. And my message to the people out there, because synchronistically, whoever listens to this is meant to listen to this. And
That's one of those things too. Like,
there's a reason.
boom, you just roped them.
There's a reason why you're here. You're hearing this because your spirit is calling for you to listen to this, and it's also your
I'm getting
spirit.
goosebumps. You saying this?
Your
man.
spirit's calling you to come home. So, welcome home, and also
Realize.
realize that you are the creator of your reality.
Holy shit! Did I just predict what you're saying?
Yeah, you are the creator of your reality, and you can create whatever you want. I know things may seem like they're maybe tough right now, or maybe you're having a blissful experience, but even those things, they always come and they go. But what doesn't come and go is you. And what can come is what you want to come. So the main thing is, especially we were just talking about this too, is during this time that's happening, you can pay attention. Of course, like if you pay attention to the negative stuff that happened right now, we don't want to get into politics. We're not talking about that, but there's so much major shifts that is happening right now on a cosmic level for people to experience connecting back to who they truly are. So I can definitely can attest to the power of taking medicine or even just a profound just getting connected to who you truly are in different ways. We did it this way. There's infinite ways of connecting, but just realize
You gotta realize it.
You gotta realize it and believe it and trust.
You just said it. I was gonna say you gotta everything you just said. I'm like I'm on the same wavelength there. In the theme of this season, I'm talking about depression and antidepressant a lot. And to bring this home and this realization is we live in a society right now, and you'll probably agree with me, that doesn't allow your natural human nature.
Yeah.
That's why there's a ton of people depressed. They're not realizing who they are.
Exactly.
They're not taking their lessons. They're not learning. They want something, and if you want something, that's your ego. Mm-hmm. You're not just, like for instance, if you want to get on a roller coaster and you wanted to feel a certain way, and you don't feel like that, did you enjoy the roller coaster? Why don't you just have no expectations, get on it, and learn that it was a cool experience?
Exactly.
And I feel like that's part of the human nature that's been totally squashed by the society of commute, work, commute, eat, go to sleep, do it again. And we never get to be part of our natural human selves. And you're saying realize it.
Oh, yeah.
So look for your synchronicities, learn your lessons, be grateful what you're learning, and believe that it's happening and keep growing.
Yeah.
Would you agree?
And make magic shit happen.
We'll leave it at that. Yeah, the mind and the consciousness is a very powerful thing because everything, and if you think about it, everything that you do and you experience comes from your consciousness and the way you think. So if I want to pick up my phone right now, I just did, and that's something simple, but you can also change your life.
Yeah.
So take the lesson, right?
Exactly.
All right. Well, Dell, dude, thank you for going on record with these amazing experiences. We're trying to show people that you shouldn't be afraid of these experiences out there. I know it's a little scary in America and the way it's classified as these awful drugs, psychedelics.
Love the voice.
But if you do your research, you'll realize that there's a lot of growth. Us as human beings, us as your personal self, there's a lot of growth out there to be had by chasing down an experience that might be that profound.
Amazing.
All right, man. I'm ready to sign this one out.
Yeah.
Dell, again, thank you. And ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening to the podcast. And subscribe and do all that. We're going to keep going.